So this is it. This is the last day before our Stellar Crown Master Set giveaway. That is right. We're giving away a Master Set of Stellar Crown. Every single card that you could possibly pull from a booster pack is in this binder. This is a specialty custom-made binder from the Unlucky Collector on Instagram. Make sure to give them a follow. They did all this etch work. It looks amazing. The binder is phenomenal. The cards inside are phenomenal. It's got every holo, reverse holo, illustration rare, special illustration. It's got everything. Every single card you could pull from Stellar Crown is in the set. And we're going to give this away to one lucky subscriber tomorrow. That is right. Tomorrow, somebody is going to be the winner of the Stellar Crown Master Set. And if you want to be that someone, if you want to be that lucky subscriber, first of all, obviously, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. So scroll down and make sure that subscribe channel, or that make sure that subscribe button is clicked. I'm such a dummy. I can't even sell out properly. And then go back and watch. 2 weeks ago, we put out a video about the Stellar Crown Master Set. I'm going to put the thumbnail right up here. I'll include a link to the actual video in the description down below. You just have to go to that video, leave a like, leave a comment. Boom, you're entered. I'm going to stop. This was terrible. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and then leave a like and a comment on that video. Come back tomorrow. See if you're the winner. Good luck. Oh man, that was painful. I appreciate you guys sticking with me and bearing through. I'm already thinking about today's video. I'm also thinking about Pokemon Pocket. I've seen a lot of criticism about Pokemon Pocket, and I understand. I think it's justified. I think there is some concern, rightfully so, about Pokemon Pocket, but you don't have to pay for it. Like you don't have to pay for anything. As far as what I'm reading, you can have the option of opening up additional packs, but I say let's just download Pokemon Pocket. Let's just open the couple booster packs that we get for free every day, and let's just see how things go. I think the artwork looks really cool. Yeah, I think it would be cool if some of them came to actual physical card form, but we do have some bangers that come out in physical card form also. Obviously, there's more that you can do with AI. There's more that you can do with digital art than you can with actual printed art, but you never know. I mean, there might be a Pokemon Pocket set that comes out as a specialty set in the near future. You know, that could be a specialty set that they release next summer. Maybe that's what they're gearing up towards. I have no idea, but I'm going to reserve judgment for now. This just soft opened in the Netherlands, so all my Netherlands family, you can download Pokemon Pocket and let us know what you think, how things are going. Doesn't come to the US until October 30th, I think, so it goes off of your VPN. I don't know what that all means, but let me know what your thoughts are. I understand. I understand the concerns, but I think it could be fun also. So I am excited for it. Also, and I don't know why my brain works this way, but I want to know what you guys think as far as how Pokemon determines how many cards to print for a specific set. And this very much correlates with this video for a specific reason. So does Pokemon, do you think they're like, we're going to print X amount of cards for each set? Or do you think they're like, we're going to print X amount of rarities for each set? Or we're going to print X amount of sealed products or booster packs for each set? It's all very interesting to kind of break down, and the reason being is because every single set that's come out throughout the Scarlet and Violet generation has had a different quantity of cards, a different quantity of rarities. And we're going to talk specifically about illustration rares, because if you remember, there were a lot of buyouts. There's a lot going on with illustration rares, and now they've come back down to earth. They've retraced for a lot of them, but grading prices is still very high on some of them, but illustration rares, not all of them are going to be the same. So if we look at illustration rares from the beginning of the Scarlet and Violet block, for example, your pull rates have been basically 3 per booster box with every single set that's released. So even though Pokemon nerfed pull rates right around temporal forces, where they changed the amount of special illustration rares and hyper rares that you would get in a booster box, they kept pull rates pretty much the same for illustration rares. So you're still going to get about 3 per booster box. However, the quantity of illustration rares that have been released in each set is much, much different, vastly different. So we look at Obsidian Flames, for example, they only have like 12 or 11. Stellar Crown, I think, only has 1 more, so Stellar Crown only has like 12 illustration rares. So if you're getting 3 per booster box, or close to 3 per booster box, the likelihood of you pulling one of those big chase cards like Squirtle or Bulbasaur from Stellar Crown seems to be a lot higher than that of like Paldea Evolved or Paradox Drift, which have like 30 to 40 illustration rares. So how do they determine, I wish they would make it public information to determine how much they actually decide to print of an actual set, because if you compare, like, let's say the Magikarp from Paldea Evolved, that would be exponentially more rare as an illustration rare than the Squirtle from Stellar Crown, because you have a 3 out of, you have like a 25% chance of pulling the Squirtle out of Stellar Crown, but you only have like a, I don't know, 11% chance or something like that of pulling it out of Paldea Evolved. So substantially less as far as percentage goes, the probability of pulling Magikarp and Paldea Evolved, because there are so many more illustration rares to pull from. So if pull rates are going to stay the same as far as when you compare it to a booster box, like how do they determine? That's why I just something that really boggles my mind. You can let me know what you think about those fanny thoughts. Probably not normal fanny thoughts, but I am curious to get your opinion on the matter and how they determine what they decide to print. So we're going to look at illustration rares. I did things a little bit differently. These have retraced a lot, except for one set, which continues to climb, and that might be impacted very soon, and we'll talk about that in a second. That's 151, and we'll talk about that very soon. I wanted to go over the best-selling illustration rares to look at how much they're still up a lot, but how much they've retraced, and then compare that to their PSA grade. So at the top, we've got price charting information from pricecharting.com. We just pulled all the PSA grades. Magikarp continues to be the top, but let me know in the comment section down below what you think is number 2. I was a little surprised at what number 2 was as far as the most expensive PSA 10 illustration rare after Magikarp. It's very interesting to look at, and we'll find out the answer in just a minute here. But obviously Magikarp is number 1, Eevee is not number 2. So I guess I kind of spoiled that right away. But here is Eevee, this one from Twilight Masquerade, definitely the chase in Twilight Masquerade. So it's been out for about 6 months, not quite 6 months. And you can see right around May when it came out, it was right around $25. That was its low point. It's never been back to that point. It started out there. Usually you have a little bit of a retrace right after a set releases. Eevee did not. Eevee just started going up and up and up and went through a little buyout in July and then went up a lot higher, hit $61.12, and now it's retraced a little bit at $46.16. Now it's been relatively flat for the last month or so, and if you look at the PSA grades, PSA 10 for example, about 150, 135, so about 3 times the price for a PSA 10 as opposed to getting it just near mint raw. If you look, like a grade 8, which is still near mint, is slightly cheaper than a raw copy. A lot of people out there right now will go and they will buy PSA 7s, PSA 8s of the cards that they want and just crack them because they are cheaper than buying it near mint raw, even though those still have the near mint grades, which is very interesting. So kind of a little hack if you don't care about graded cards, you just want a near mint copy. That's one thing that you can do. Here's a Magikarp right here. This one is in a free fall. It's still up 2%, almost 3% over the past 6 months. Still doing very well. But during this buyout phase in June, it jumped all the way up to almost $150 for an illustration rare. This is what we're talking about with this card being maybe more rare than other illustration rares in other sets, outside of really Paradox Rift. Paradox Rift had about the same amount of illustration rares in that set. But people just love the Magikarp. They love the artwork. It gets talked a lot. And because of that FOMO spreads, in May, it really started climbing quite a bit with those buyouts and things like that. Jumped up to almost $150, well above its 6-month low of $46, or of $99.83. I have the wrong current price over there, but it's down to $108.28. However, a PSA 10 grade is still very high. It was at $700 a couple months ago, so it has retraced a little bit, but still at $554.75. It is a little bit tougher of a grade 10, and I think that's something that a lot of people have been trying to convey to other collectors, is that illustration rares, even though print quality has come a long way in English sets, I do think Japanese has taken a little bit of a step back, and US has taken a little bit of a step forward. They're still off. They're still off quite a bit. There's still a lot of room to go. Clearly, in a PSA 10 form, so quality is still not as great as it could be, but it's definitely getting better. And because of that PSA 10, Magikarp definitely quite a bit of a jump on that one. Here's the Charmander. We did not include any cards from Shrouded Fable. We did not include any cards from Stellar Crown because the market on those is still just so new. Really uncertainty all over the place. But here's a Charmander from 151. 151 is going nuts right now. 151 continues to climb. Singles continue to climb. The good news is there is relief coming. There are more booster bundles coming. There are more mini tins coming. Those restocks are going to be hitting very soon. That definitely will impact We'll talk more about the restocks, reprints that are all going on tomorrow in tomorrow's video, but there's more coming. Not a ton, but there is more coming that's going to play a little bit of an impact on things. In May of 2024, this was down $23.47. It's gained about 23% over the past 6 months, continuing to trend in the upward direction. You can see right now, $35.07. This is a card that a lot of people want and a lot of people want to hold on to. So you're still looking at a nice premium on PSA 10 price of $133.51. It's about 4 times the price of the near mint raw copy, and you can see a grade 8 selling for only $17.25. So maybe that's the route you go if you want to get a near mint raw copy. Just buy a grade 8, crack it open, because it's still near mint even though it's a PSA 8. But look at the trend that it's been doing, very, very strong. So definitely 151 needs some relief. Squirtle also doing the same thing. This one has jumped up to $34.02, up about 26% over the past 6 months. Its 6-month low is $22.60. It hit that back in April, May of 2024, and then it's just been continuing to trend up ever since then. $34.02 is its current price point here. Again, about 26% above where it was 6 months ago. PSA 10 still very strong, $131.25. So again, about 4 times the price of a near mint raw copy. If you look at the 8 grade, PSA 8, $21.50. You can get a PSA 9 for about $6 off the near mint raw price, which is very interesting as well. So another route that you can go if you want to save a little bit of money, you can just crack that bad boy open and you're good to go. The Bulbasaur did a lot of growth really quickly. In May of 2024, it jumped up basically at its low point, which it hit in April of $19.46. Jumped up really quick in July, and then it hit that 6-month high of $26.12. It's been very flat ever since then, sitting at $25.92 currently, which is about 25% above where it was in April of 2024. If you look at the PSA 10 price, about 5 times the amount of a near mint raw copy. So 127, very strong PSA 10 premium right there. Near mint 9.5, a 9. Those are cheaper than basically a near mint raw copy is going for right now. And if you go down to a grade 8, you're looking at $19.17. So a definite discount on that one as well. Here's the Ghastly from Temporal Forces. This one has caused quite the stir all over the Pokemon community for a very long time now. Ever since release in April of 2024, this is down to $16.33. It's pretty much right where it started out when Temporal Forces released, but it's been up and down ever since then. You can see at one point in June, when there were a lot of buyouts happening, it jumped all the way up to $33.71. So basically doubling in price, and now it's retraced quite a bit and continuing to trend downward. It's down to $21.39, still about 6.5% above where it was 6 months ago. But again, if you look at that PSA 10 price, doing fairly well. You're looking at about 4 times as expensive as its normal raw copy, near mint raw copy. But if you look at the grade 8, again, it's about $5 off of its current price point right there, and you can get a PSA 7 for even cheaper, $14, barely the cost of the grading fee by itself, which is very interesting. So Ghastly continuing to trend in the downward direction. Here's the big boy from Paradox Rift. This is Groudon. Groudon doing extremely well. It's at $26.46 in April. When those buyouts happened, it sprouted up like crazy. Grew up to $64.28. It did back off a little bit and it's retraced, but it's been relatively flat now over the past couple months. This is definitely a very cool card. It's currently sitting at $48.39, and the PSA 10 price does command quite a bit of a premium. Again, you're looking at about 400% or 4 times the price of its near mint raw copy. The PSA 10 price at $171.25. If you look at the grade 9, still a little bit more expensive, but the grade 8 will save you about $18, which is quite a bit of a drop. So if you're looking for a near mint raw copy of the Groudon and don't want to pay $50 for a near mint raw copy, you can buy a PSA 8, which is still near mint. Just crack that bad boy open. You're only looking at about a $30 investment in that, as opposed to that $48 investment. Here's the Tyranitar from Paldea Evolved. This is your answer to the question that I asked before about what was the second most expensive PSA 10 for illustration rares, at least as far as this slideshow goes. I didn't look at every illustration rare. I would assume the Tyranitar is the second most expensive, though, based on the data. $265 in PSA 10. So that is quite the jump over its near mint raw price of $27.88. That's where it currently is sitting. You're looking at $265, almost 10 times the amount of the near mint raw, which is absolutely insane. In April of 2024, this was down to $18.38. That was the 6-month low. It jumped up real quick when those buyouts happened. In May, it jumped up to $45.62, but it's been losing ground ever since then. Still up about 52% over the past 6 months. Currently sitting at $27.88, and you're better off just buying it near mint raw. $25.61 for that grade 8 doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when you can buy it raw for $27.88 and potentially have a 9 or a 10. This is one of the few exceptions where it doesn't really make as much sense to buy like an 8 and crack it open. Here's the Raichu, also from Paldea Evolved. This one's actually been doing doing pretty well. Even though it has retraced a little bit, its buyout happened maybe a little bit later, where there was an abnormal amount of quantity sales on a weekly basis. But in April of 2024, it was sitting at $21.61. It over doubled in price. When August hit, it jumped up to $48.71 and has backed off a little bit, but not as much as some of these other ones. It's sitting at $36.89 currently, so you're still looking at almost 71% growth over the past 6 months. Very, very strong. PSA 10 price is still also very good, $217.84. Again, about 8 times the price of the near mint raw copy, which is very, very strong. You can buy a grade 8, which is still near mint, and crack that open, and it'll save you about $10-11, which is very strong. Grade 8 selling for about $26 right now, or you can get a grade 9 and crack it open for basically the same price, which isn't terrible. Here's the Ninetales from Obsidian Flames, and this has taken off a lot, and this is another interesting one. How rare would this Ninetales be compared to like that Magikarp, or compared to the Tyranitar or the Raichu? Because there are so few illustration rares in Obsidian Flames. You open up an Obsidian Flames booster box, you're going to get 3 illustration rares. Well, there's only like 12 in the set, so you have a 25% chance with every booster box of pulling one of these Ninetales, as opposed to like the 10% chance of getting that Raichu or that Magikarp in Paldea Evolve, which is insane. In April of 2024, this was selling for $5.58. It over doubled in price very quickly. In July, it was up to $12.47. Now it has retraced a little bit, and it's sitting at $10.83 currently, but still about 83.5% above where it was in April. The PSA 10 price, again, you're looking at about 13 times the price of a near mint raw copy, which is very, very strong. $137.50. A grade 8 even is selling above the near mint raw copy price right now. So another one where it's like a little bit different than what we've been looking at, where it makes more sense just to buy it near mint raw than crack a slab. Here's the Chansey. This one caused a lot of stir as well. This is a beautiful looking card. I love the artwork on this. The color pops so well. You got the Ditto, you got the Psyduck, you got the Bellsprout, you got the Blissey, you got the Chansey, you got the Snorlax. Very cool looking. That Snorlax, he is always sleeping. This one has crashed and burned really fast. You can see when the buyout happened, it jumped all the way up to $19.40, right? And then in September already, 2 months later, it dropped down to $8.48. So it lost quite a bit. It's down almost 24% over the past 6 months, sitting at $9.47 right now. And it is still commanding a premium in PSA 10, but not nearly as big as what we've seen some of these other ones. So you're looking at about $51 in PSA 10. Another one where it makes more sense just to buy the near mint raw copy, and it's cheap enough to do that as well. But you're still looking at about 5-6 times the price of a near mint raw copy in PSA 10. Here's the Construction Steelix. This one very cool from Paradox Rift. Again, another card where there's a lot, I would assume, fewer of these printed than what you would get from like Obsidian Flames, because Paradox Rift has so many more illustration rares. In April of 2024, this was sitting at $11.07. That buyout happened real quick. It jumped up to $26.11 in May, and it's been going down ever since then. It's still up about 47%, but definitely edging nearer and nearer to that 6-month low. It's currently sitting at $16.39. PSA 10, still a nice premium there of $76.05. You can buy it in grade 8 for basically the same price, but you might as well just buy a near mint raw copy then. Steelix doing extremely well. Ralts, been relatively flat over the past few months or so. Ralts, Curlia, those are big cards because they do tell that story. That's that storyline card, which is going to be a fan favorite for years to come. And that's why, part of the reason why it's leveled off so much over the past few months. In April of 2024, it was down to $9.46. That was the 6-month low. Did get bought out, did get bumped up real fast. $17.92 was its high point, which it hit in June, and now it's retraced a little bit, so it's sitting at $14.85, but still you're looking at about 48% growth. This is another one very expensive in PSA 10. You're looking at over 12 times the price in PSA 10 of its near mint raw copy, so $183.34 in PSA 10, doing extremely well. Much cheaper in like grade 8, where you can buy it for a few dollars of a discount over the near mint raw price. But Ralt's definitely a very strong one right there. And the last one we're going to look at is second to last one we're going to look at is Drowsy from Scarlet and Violet base. I tried to get a couple from every single set. This one very, very cool, definitely a fan favorite, and you can see that based off of its PSA 10 price, which is very strong. June down to $7.53, pretty much June into July. So this buyout happened a little bit later, so we're only looking at 3 months of data on this one, and it's been up, and now it's retraced a little bit. So it jumped up to $14.06 in the middle of September. It's backed off to $11.45 currently, but still about 45% above where it was 3 months ago. Another card where you're looking at about $165 in PSA 10, so a really strong premium on that Drowsy. And then we've got the Evital from Paradox Rift. This one in
in April of 2024 was down to $6.13. It jumped up really quick when those buyouts happened. Still up about 107% right now, which is very strong, sitting at $13.02, but off of its 6-month high, which was $17.30. Not nearly as much of a premium on PSA 10, but still very strong. You're still looking at about 6 times the premium for a near mint raw copy. $89 in PSA 10. You can buy an 8 though for only about $8 and crack that bad boy open. And you have yourself a near mint raw copy for cheaper, about $5 of a discount over buying it raw. So definitely something to consider looking at some of these PSA prices, just because there is so much saturation that goes on in the PSA grading world or in the grading world in general. It's definitely something to consider doing if you want to save a few dollars. If you want to save a few dollars for your collection budget, like, it can be a very wise decision to make. So I hope you enjoy the data. If you did, please hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a like, leave a comment. I asked you guys to leave like 8 comments, so I can't wait to read them all. But thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. I love you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with the announcement of the winner of the Stellar Crown Master Set, and also to talk about those restocks that are everybody is talking about right now. So until tomorrow, guys, love you. Peace.